Hi everyone, welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. In today's video we're going to tackle this mudguard. A couple of videos ago I showed you the state of the two mudguards for the Ferguson. One of them had a fair bit of rot in the bottom, which I've now cut out, and in fact I've made a template for the patch that I want to fit to the bottom of that mudguard. I'm not an expert body person and I've never actually done this before, so I'm going to be kind of finding my way as I go. This is not a how-to video. If you want to learn how to do this, go and watch somebody else. Make It Custom, I think, is really good at this sort of thing. Half-ass customers as well, also quite good at it. But anyway, point being, I'm just going to share with you my progress as I go. I'm going to be finding my way and trying a few different ways of doing it, and whatever I find is what I will share with you, so that if you need to do this, then at least you've got some indicators. But please, if you really need to do this job, then I suggest you go and look at somebody else's video. I just want to share the progress that I'm making and show you the process that I've decided to use in repairing this mudguard. So yeah, I'll bring you over, show you what we're working with, and we'll get started. This is what we've got. This is what we cut off the bottom of the mudguard. It's, as you can see, quite badly rotted and definitely not savable. Essentially, it needed replacing. So what I've made is this template or form, which basically replicates that. Can't show you. Well, I'll bring you over a little bit closer in a second. But essentially, that is a replica of that piece of metal with a little bit of clearance here, because as you can see, this is a fold that needs to go around a piece of bar stock that creates a rolled edge all along these two sides of the mudguard. Again, I showed you that in the previous video, so hopefully that makes sense. But what I've done, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I've sort of just curled that over with a sander just to make a nice round edge. And my plan is to cut a piece of metal. Let's get rid of that now. To cut a piece of metal this exact width and slightly larger than this. Lay this on top, clamp it down, and then curl or try and form that metal around this form, essentially, to at least start the curl. We won't be able to finish it because the final curl actually needs to go around the rod. It can't go around this template. But the idea is to get excuse me, is to get the curl started. On here I've actually marked as well where the holes are, the bolt holes, but in actual fact those can be drilled right at the end, literally by just drilling through the frame. So I'm not too fussed about those. My main objective right now is to get that curl started on this patch, and then we will begin to fit or attempt to fit this patch to the old mudguard and see whether we can get this edge all along here lined up, because that edge needs to be welded all the way along, and then obviously sanded back down and maybe a little bit of filler on it. We'll see how we go, see what the final result is. But anyway, that's what I've got and that's what I'm working with, and essentially that's what this video is about. So I've now traced out from this template onto this piece of steel. You can see that that's the form, and then what I've allowed 2 centimeters on either side to form the curl. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to cut this out. So obviously I'm going to be cutting along that line, and then this line, and then that line, and yeah, we'll go from there. I'm sort of contemplating whether I should be leaving a little bit more here, and I guess it won't hurt. Yeah, forget about that. Right, so I'm going to cut this out now, and I'm going to use an air cut-off wheel. I think that's going to be the most accurate for keeping, staying on these lines. See how we go. So this is what we've ended up with. I've deburred it a little bit after the cut. So just to compare to the original, essentially that goes like that. Let's do it this way. So that hopefully lines up there like that. And the black mark is a little bit in there. Obviously I've pushed it in a little bit because we've got to allow for the curve. But essentially what I now need to do is clamp this form in here, and I've got to get it lined up pretty well, perfectly. It's about there. So now what I've got to do, I've got to clamp all along here, along this edge, and then try to bend this metal up onto the wood. I'm probably only going to go 90 degrees at this point, because the wood isn't necessarily the exact thickness of the rod. In fact, here's a piece of the rod here, and we can see that the wood is actually thicker than the rod. So we need to be careful not to, or we can't go too far. We need to just bring it up to 90 degrees, I think, and then we can do the rest when it's back on the mudguard, essentially. But yeah, that's where we are. So I think I'm going to try to clamp this in the vise. I'll see if I can. Otherwise I'm going to have to use clamps and possibly this table. I just don't know how strong this table is going to be. It will probably be fine. Yeah, actually I might use this table. Let me work it out and come back with a plan. I thought I'd just quickly show you. I'm essentially halfway. So first thing I did, I drilled these holes where the holes are going to go in the mudguards. Put 3 little bolts through there, and then I put it in this table, essentially like that. Clamped it and bent this side over. You can see, obviously at the end here, it's curled a little bit. We can sort that out separately, but actually that's created a very nice bend in the metal here. I'm actually really pleased with that. It's got a nice sort of radius to it, which I'm really happy with. But yeah, the 2 ends here, we might just need to do a little bit of tidying up, but that's fine. So I'm going to go on and do this side now. It's a bit noisy, but I'll film a little bit of it just to give you an idea. Got to be careful right at the end here where this wood comes to a point, because of course that's relatively weak. So I want to try and make sure that that is adequately supported in the table, essentially. I'll just take it down a bit to start with and then lift it. I thought I was going to have to heat this, but it's actually really, I mean, it's 1.2 millimeter thick steel, so it's not terribly strong, and yeah, it's actually bending a lot easier than I thought it might, so no need for heat, which is a good thing. I don't know if you can tell when I'm hitting it, I'm kind of stretching it back this way, so hitting it in a sort of circular motion, trying to get the metal to bend or to stretch back rather than just keel over. And it seems to be working quite well, which I'm quite pleased about. And just lifting it ever so slightly again, just so I can get to the actual bend. Want to use the face of the hammer, not the edge, because that leaves horrible marks. So you want to be sure to use the face. That's just about there now. And there we go. That is, again, given a very nice edge. We need to sort out the ends. I'll sort those out in a second. And but you see the beautiful edge that we've got there, which is really quite pleasing. So yeah, that's what it looks like now, essentially. And we can move on now. I'll sort out these ends and try and relax. You see how this one now has kind of lifted off the wood, so that needs relaxing. Just need to relax it, metal a little bit there, de-stress it, and that should hopefully sort that out. Might need to throw a little bit of heat on those just to help relieve the tension. This side I'm less worried about, because obviously this I'm going to neaten up once it's all finished. But this does need to be flat here. It can't lift like that. So I'll take a look and see how I can sort that out. But yeah, I might need to just heat it just to help it relax a bit. But yeah, really pleased with that. That's pretty much what I was hoping for. Okay, just doing a little trial fit here on the actual mudguard. You can see First of all, this bar is a little bit buckled, so that needs to be straightened out. But the main problem I've got at the moment is that this piece here, this angle is essentially going the wrong way. It needs to come in like that to match this profile. This, the old piece that's on there. So I'm going to cut that off. I need to do both sides, of course, and that should allow me to bring this in a little bit closer to match, because this is the bit I'm worried about here. This needs to line up, and I need to shape these so we get a nice close fit there to get the welding done. But the good news is that this, if I lay it on top of the bar, this is lining up really quite good over here on the two ends, but we still got quite a bit of work to do to get it to come up to meet that main sheet up there. So we may have to take a little bit off this, but we'll see. So yeah, next job really is to get this bar straightened out. I also need to re-weld this one, weld that back on, where I cut that off, which it was necessary at the time, but it's a bit of a pain really. You can see even that one is sort of angling up. I need to check. I don't believe that the Mudguard actually angled. Well, did it? Did it angle up a bit? I need to double check. I don't think it did, but there certainly seems to be a tendency for it to curl up, which is interesting. But anyway, I'm going to check the other one and just make sure. I don't recall. And if I look at the old piece, sort of put that back in there. I'll have to open this up a bit, but in any case, that's not really angling up. I think. Let me open this up a little bit. I need to check this. So there's the essentially the old one back in, and yeah, it does seem to be, but it's misshapen. I don't believe it's meant to be like that, but you can see how this is all terribly buckled. I think you can see that on the camera. But yeah, I believe these rods need to be straightened so that they're not curling in, and that will help us to fit that one better. Because of course this is now nice and straight, and this is not. Still need to try and get this metal to relax a bit here. We've still got this coffee can effect going on. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I think I may have to heat it in strategic points to allow it to flatten down, but I just need to research that quickly. I've now welded this bar back on. It's not 100% correct, it's not 100% straight, but we're going to massage that as we go along. I've also done a bit of massaging on this new plate. You can see I've changed the angle of these ends, so that is now more accurate. It's still not 100% where it needs to be, but it's getting closer. Now the problem I'm fighting is that these bends are actually a little bit too tight, and so if you see here it's lining up perfectly, but here it's about, I don't know, 3-4 millimeters away, and that's because both of these bends are too tight. Basically I need to open them up a little bit. I've started opening that one, and I still need to do this side, and then what I'm going to have to do is basically start grinding this edge here to allow the whole plate to move up, basically, to marry and begin to match the cut on the mudguard itself, or on the old skin, if you want to think of it that way. So yeah, we're getting there, but I've just noticed that my compressor is having an issue. It seems to be there's a bit of an oil leak, and it also seems to be it doesn't seem to be keeping up with my air tools, and I'm using the air dial grinder well, I need to use the air dial grinder to shake this up. So it looks like I need to do a bit of a maintenance and service on the compressor before I can carry on here. So look, I think I'm going to leave this video here. You can see obviously the progress that's been made, the process that I'm going through, and hopefully it's going to start coming together now as I begin to basically fine-tune this patch essentially, and hopefully get it to match just that little bit better. It's definitely nowhere near close enough now. The gap here is, yeah, still way too much too much to weld. So a fair bit of massaging work still required, but we're into that fine-tuning stage now, which is pretty exciting. Anyway, as I said, I think I'm going to leave the video there. Hope that you're enjoying this. As I said at the start, kind of just learning as I'm going, and I'm hoping that is interesting to some of you. Maybe it's comical to some of you. That's also possible, but that's fine. If we're giving you something to laugh about, that's also good. Anyway, point being, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, thanks for joining us, and obviously hope to see you on the next one. Cheers for now.